Welcome. Welcome, everyone. It's Angelo Robles. And for those live, it is Thursday night. Yes, since Sunday. So 5 days in a row now, it's been very busy for me on the lives. Something new because I have a new announcement to make that will work itself into why I want to talk today. And that is the new hierarchy of power, intelligence over capital. I think you're going to like this one. It's going to be interesting. It's going to announce a new initiative or revitalizing an initiative from both a year ago and 2 years ago. And I look forward to sharing it. Before I do, as I'm live here after 7 o'clock Eastern time, we are having a terrible weather day. I'm a little bit rule-esque. Winds are horrific. I don't know, about 10 times a year I lose power. This has potential to be one of those nights. So I'll be optimistic, and why don't we get right to it? So really, it's creating the top 1% family office. If you're not going to be exceptional, why even try? The new hierarchy of power, like I said, intelligence over capital. I'm going to call this like a Shakespeare play, Act One, the collapse of comfort. Most family offices believe they have time. I don't think they do. The world that created their wealth no longer resembles the one required to preserve it or grow it in a new era moving forward. Inflation, AI, sovereign risk, information warfare, these aren't just headlines. They're tectonic plates, and they're already shifting underneath your feet. The question is not whether disruption is coming. The question is whether your structure, your architecture can really survive the acceleration. This applies to families, to single family offices, and to multi-family offices as well, and really anyone who's a wealth advisor. The illusion of stability. Every dynasty begins with hunger and ends with habit. Every habit eventually becomes a ritual. And ritual is think about it, what destroys intelligence. Wealth can make you comfortable, and comfort makes you slow. Slowness in an exponential world is inevitably extinction. Most family offices today are comfort machines, expensive, well-mannered bureaucracies built to defend yesterday. They mistake activity for progress. They manage meetings instead of momentum, filing reports instead of building really reality. And when I walk into these rooms, it's not even like I could really even feel the wealth per se. I see with many, too many, even if it's one, you know, it's slowly dying, and sometimes not so slowly. Last winter, I spoke a couple of times and at my events about what I call the Detroit paradox. I'm going to bring it up again. Detroit didn't die because it couldn't see Japan coming. It died because it could and refused to evolve. This is the Detroit paradox. Visibility without velocity. And I think family offices are facing the same paradox now. They read the white papers. I would say they hire futurists, but they really don't. They acknowledge that AI, crypto, de-dollarization are real, but they retreat to the comfort, to their spreadsheets. The next decade it won't reward the observers. It will reward the architects. If you can see the future and still move too slowly, you probably already lost. There's what I call the slow death of comfort. Comfort feels safe because it hides behind a routine. The cost of comfort does compound silently, takes time. Every month you delay modernization, you pay a tax lost in optionality. Remember that one. Every committee meeting that postpones a decision, you sacrifice velocity. Every redundant process maintained for tradition's sake has a way to erode judgment. And judgment, along with capital, I was going to say judgment, not capital, is the true currency of dynasties. $1 billion family office operating 10% in efficiency, as I define it, could lose $100 million a year in opportunity. Think about that. Most family offices lose a multiple of that. The tragedy actually often isn't incompetence. I actually think your people are often more competent than you think, than they're giving credit for, and that even they're internally, their challenges. They got comfortable. The challenge is really indecision. They also need to update the knowledge and utility in today's world. All things we'll get to, and where I believe I could help. So the first principles reset. When I advise a family, I don't begin, although it's tempting, service providers, I kind of begin with physics. Every system obeys three laws: energy, entropy, and evolution. I was going to give a little thing about biology, but we'll save that. Energy, how fast information becomes action. Entropy, the decay that occurs when really intelligence stagnates. Evolution, the capacity to adapt, a very important one, before necessity forces it. That's the key point. Before necessity forces it. A family office really is an energy system. Your people, technology, and decisions either create momentum or kind of absorb it. If you want to preserve wealth, stop thinking like an allocator. Start thinking like a physicist. I mean, who else is going to say that in the family office world? So, kind of the day that I learned that speed is really an advantage. Imagine sitting across a patriarch, love to go to Switzerland and Zurich, billions of dollars in net worth, dozens of employees, like no investment left my desk without 3 committee approvals. We don't want to make a mistake. Well, how long does that take? A month. I was surprised it was that quick. But even then, you're competing in a market now that moves at the speed of a calendar, right? Your competition moves at the speed of code. Laugh, sure. Then, inevitably, months later, a rival family executed a transaction that his team spent weeks debating and then tripling their exposure and their opportunity. And yes, it did lead to success. Speed doesn't mean recklessness. It means compressing the distance between information and execution. That is one of the first signs of a top 1%. I admit some of it's qualitative, some of it's quantitative. If the family feels it's 1%, then I guess it is. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it actually is. We'll come back to the new definition of power. Power used to mean control over assets. Now it kind of means control over intelligence. You can own the factories, the land, even the money. But if you don't own the intelligence that governs them, you're at least at minimal leasing your future, your heirs. Most family offices treat AI too much kind of like software, but it's not really. It's really more infrastructure. In the industrial age, electricity separated the modern from the obsolete. In this age, how you have to think of that analogy, like now that's a no-brainer. In this age, intelligence will do the same. Those who command it will dominate capital. Those who rent it may become clients of those that do. Now, there is a human blind spot. Wealth can attract talent. It also can attract, in the family office, insulation. Advisors start protecting feelings instead of facts. Executives confuse loyalty with alignment. And that's how, entropy enters kind of the bloodstream. I once worked with the family office whose internal report process took 3 weeks. And again, nothing gets me more excited than putting on my Peter Drucker and doing operational enhancements in the family office. You think I love AI? Woo! When I get to operational efficiencies, that's where I'm most happy. But by the time the data reached the principal, well, sometimes it was obsolete. So that's not really running a modern office. It's more like running a museum. In time, and now with AI, it's a different level, but replacing that entire reporting structure with an adaptive system that learned from behavior. And within 90 days, the decision cycle collapsed from, near 3 weeks to probably 2 or 3 hours. No, their returns didn't necessarily double. I'm not saying that, but their judgment did. What I call the generational drift. Every dynasty faces a moment when inheritance outweighs initiative. The second generation often protects. The third inherits a procedure. The fourth inherits boredom. I think the antidote is creation. Family offices, families really that thrive, are creative laboratories. Not everyone, but there's something going on there within the unit of the family where that needs to happen. Don't be a custodial vault. They treat wealth as a living organism. I kind of want to go back to biology again. I'm really holding back. Constantly redesigning itself. When I spoke with a next-gen leader in Singapore, incredible country, she told me, my father built an empire effectively on energy, oil. I'm building one on intelligence. Now running a sovereign AI office on sovereign compute and utilizing AI agents, real-time geopolitical monitoring across multiple jurisdictions. Of course, she's young, but that's what evolution looks like when belief meets bandwidth. There's a false security of legacy structures. Most family offices are built around legacy legal and tax frameworks that were designed in a slower era that are legally correct, but strategically fragile. Trusts, partnerships, committees, these were invented to manage information scarcity. But we now live in information abundance. You can't govern an exponential world with linear systems. If your governance slows you down, it's not governance, really, it's the friction. It's the friction that's the problem. Now, this leads to what I call, and yes, in case you're wondering, this is going to be a long one. I'm probably going to break this down in 3 or 4 different parts in the coming week or two so I could really zone in, but you're getting it fully dumped on you tonight. The culture of dependence. Comfort breeds dependency. Dependency breeds vulnerability. Families outsource judgment too much to others, consultants, risk to managers, and innovation to vendors. They call it prudence, but dependency is not prudence. It's just disguised fragility. When systems shake, and it will, the dependent will fall first. Back to that moniker that I started with, the top 1%. are built to operate even when external counterparty fails. It's not paranoia, it simply is by design. I'll give you a little bit, if I could call myself a mentor's observation. Across 20 years and many families and family offices around the world, there are some patterns that do show consistency that you pick up. Especially those who adapt the fastest share several traits: clarity of purpose, intolerance for bureaucracy, and a willingness to rebuild everything when reality demands it. Look at some of your favorite sports teams that continue past 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. They'll often share some of that as well. You can't delegate evolution. You can't. They lead it. The families that fade, well, they share some things too. What a surprise. Fear of discomfort, attachment to processes that no longer work, and the fatal belief that wealth is somewhat self-sustaining, but it just isn't. Wealth could obey entropy just like everything else. So I do believe it's kind of a call to awaken. The first act is not as much about tactic, it's about awareness. Before you can build an intelligent family office, you kind of have to destroy the illusion of safety, because comfort is a stealth tax on dynasties, and it's going to charge that interest daily. The only currency that it really accepts is relevance. The collapse of comfort is effectively inevitable, but it doesn't have to be catastrophic. Maybe it's an ignition point, the moment a family could reclaim its velocity. This is where the real journey begins, the shift from thinking, I wouldn't say less so about protection, but for now it's on my mind, we'll go for it, to really more creation, from reaction to design, from management or wealth management to really more sovereign intelligence. Keeping with a little bit of Shakespearean tone, Act 2. Looking at some show notes, the architecture of power. When your comfort collapses, hopefully clarity begins. Most people mistake chaos for danger. In reality, chaos could often be information, unorganized intelligence, waiting for that design. The families who rise to that top 1% among the best of the best aren't those who necessarily fear volatility. They are those who structure it. Because power at its core, back to what I said earlier, is architectural. It's the ability to turn information into infrastructure before others even really recognize its value. Now, going back to first principles and kind of a first principles reset, kind of stripping away the noise, a family office it's not only an investment platform. And this still applies to you, multifamily offices. You should listen to. It's an intelligence engine. It exists to convert awareness into action faster than peer competitors can adapt. That's it. Everything else, reporting, compliance, either accelerates that function or could suffocate it. When I build or especially rebuild a family office, start with first principles. What are the inputs? The data, judgment, capital. What are the outputs? Decisions, control, continuity. Everything in between is kind of design. You can't copy this from a peer per se. You can't delegate it to consultants. You must engineer it from really the ground up based on your objectives, your own risk, and your own velocity. And that's at least the beginning of breaking things down to their bare essence, because best practices don't work as well in a family office because there's few, they're fragmented, they're different. You don't even know who's an A plus versus a C minus. Do you want to get the best practices of a C minus and you don't even know it? So building from first principles are optimal. That doesn't mean that benchmarking and best practices are useless. They are not. But in the world, especially of the single family office, they're somewhat less valuable. The power triad, been talking about this for 20 years. People, technology, and systems. Everything that endures is really built in the family office world on that triad. People, the interpreters of chaos; technology, the amplifier of intelligence, now more than ever; systems, the framework that converts judgment into true precision. Structure is really not the foundation. It's what naturally emerges when those three are aligned. And most family offices start backward, kind of building the structure first. Then you cram in the people and then patch in technology. And inevitably, that's why they stall or maybe become okay. And again, if you're not going to be great, why do it? The top 1% may start with the people, those capable of thinking independently and iterating relentlessly and refusing to hide behind precedent. They then arm them with the technology that multiplies cognition, the intelligence. I'm not saying replaces it. Finally, they integrate it into systems, adaptive architectures that learn, that evolve, and that self-correct. When those three converge, a family office becomes something greater than just the structure of we follow lender versus the IRS and our modeling of structuring a family office and getting a tax deduction. It is valuable, but that's not what's going to determine an incredible a top 1%. Almost it should become a living organism of intelligence. I mean, another story I'll share, worked with a Texas family building their wealth. Well, this may shock you, on energy. Brilliant operators, really, really tough negotiators. But their office did look like it was frozen a little bit like in 1999. Probably too many analysts, endless spreadsheets, quarterly reports, and processes for everything, which is not necessarily good. Actually, that often could be bad, but maybe we'll save that for later. Meeting the patriarch, like, oh, we're too big to change fast. Like, no, you're kind of too big not to. Kind of rebuilt effectively with the same people from zero. Create a real-time capital dashboard, automated compliance, integrated in today's world, thank God. Even a year ago, AI models scanning for policy, oil futures, infrastructure bills, like every 12 hours. And that's been adapted a lot heading into this year, by the way. I do like to take out my great cowboy hat. Haven't had it on in a while. In Wyoming, it fits right in. But within 6 months, their research cycle collapsed. What, from 6 weeks to 6 days? The family's private capital outperformed their public managers by a wide margin. And he's like, we didn't become faster because we added the tools. You become faster because you eliminated the excuses. That is the power of amplified intelligence and architecture. And often your people, with the right leadership and culture, with the right resources, and holding them accountable and paying them properly, could actually do some magical things for you. So from management to machinery, most family offices mistake management for mastery. They think running meetings equals running an empire. Management often adds layers. Machinery, well, could remove them, could be elegant, is designed to produce outcomes with hopefully no friction. AI, when properly deployed, is machinery compressing time, eliminating bureaucracy, and enforces discipline, but only if you control it. If your intelligence runs on someone else's infrastructure, many of you heard my AI conversations, especially this week, you don't really own it, you lease it. It's not sovereign. You're bleeding your IP in the cloud. Ownership, but I don't want to make this about AI, although a little bit in and around it is. Ownership isn't or just about possession, it's about control. A true family office owns its data, owns its logic, owns its decision flow. Because the moment you outsource judgment, you're kind of outsourcing destiny. The role, the role of technology. Surprising for me to say this, really, technology isn't the star, it's the nervous system. It should be somewhat invisible, adaptive, and back to one of my favorite words, sovereign. When I say sovereign technology, I mean infrastructure that answers only to you. AI models trained on your private data, internal compute that you command, digital systems that cannot be turned off by a third party, effectively not a true single point of failure. This is what separates access from autonomy. Most families have access, but really few. Few have autonomy. Autonomy is kind of the new wealth. We're probably about halfway through. So I did hint at it a little bit in the last week or two. I got a lot going on. I got my AI Family Office Masterclass, my last group AI Masterclass of the year, coming up next week, November 5th and 6th in New York City. You could still sign up, meet me, be a part of it. I'll change your life. I have 3 books. They'll all be Kindled heading into the earlier part of 2026. One of them I opened up to all of you. Members got first access to it. 10 things to do in your family office right now with AI. And my other was the Family Office Playbook. When that converts to a Kindle, it's going to be like 500 pages. That's only for my members. You join, you get that, and a consultation with me to help you understand that and make a big impact. The third book, I was going to announce it next week, but I got the AI Masterclass coming up. I'm going to wait till the week after it. It's unique. It's different. I kind of wrote, or at least started, all 3 of them about the same time. So it's been a little crazy last couple of weeks. I've been planning for Palm Beach early in the year, but I have an initiative that this is based on creating or redesigning into a top 1% family office. I first started this years ago, and then I reenacted it about 2 years ago. I actually did some digital masterclasses on it. And I was almost ready working on it last winter around the holiday season to release it, but I just felt something was missing. Maybe that was missing was it needed more first principles in AI. And I had a chance to focus on it, to travel the world, to go to Asia, to learn, to meet with families. And now it's 99%. It's effectively ready. So you're getting a little bit of a taste of it in the 1 or so hour I'm going to spend with you tonight. My members will get effectively a handbook, the PowerPoint, which is actually beautiful, and opportunities to connect with me on it. But they're going to get unlimited access to masterclasses I'm going to host on creating a top 1% family office next year. No upcharge. They're a member. I got them covered. Everyone else is going to have to pay. Maybe it won't be as expensive as the AI Masterclass. Maybe it will be. I don't know. But I know what I built is special. Might I do a digital version of it over 10 modules, 1 hour each with a handbook? And maybe. So between now and the end of the year, I'll think about that. But you're getting an early prelude. And again, if you're a multifamily office, this absolutely applies to you. you actually have a chance to maybe get greater advantages on it. And how many of you, with my experiences in the industry, my fluidity in AI, my connectivity, hopefully some original thoughts, reach out to me? Way, way more single family offices. I'm just saying, you know how to reach me. You have the same old advisors to MFOs that you've been listening to for years. Maybe it's time to change things up a little bit. The world is changing. So that's a little bit of the impetus in terms of what I'm doing tonight. Now you know. The Singapore dynasty. I remember a meeting in Singapore. Yes, back to that next gen leader, kind of in a technology centric family office. Like imagine inheriting complex structures of offshore entities, foundations, holding companies. And again, what do I hear? Effectively, the words I feel like I'm in or running a museum. A museum preserves the past, but architects really design the future. So restructuring the entire model focused around the right people, first principles, and technology, building an intelligence core internally, systems that really understand the family's proprietary intelligence, assets, risk, and values. The office can now run full liquidity stress test in effectively minutes, model regulatory changes across the board in multiple continents in a single dashboard. They excelled upon what I could build and help them with. I've learned from them lately. What matters, but what mattered most was really in many ways psychological. Her family went from preserving wealth to commanding it. And that's what evolution, back to that word that I used earlier, looks like. There's something that I kind of call an operator's mandate. To the executives in the room, like imagine your role is no longer admin, it's really architectural. You're not keepers of capital, you're engineers of intelligence. I'm enhancing your role and your opportunity. Your mandate is to design systems that multiply the principal's intent. Everything comes down to intent and purpose. Not to dilute it through bureaucracy, even if they're their own worst enemy and get in their own way. Every hour you save from process is an hour returned back to purpose. Think about it that way. Every redundant report automated is really judgment, I hope, reclaimed. When I meet great operators, they do, again, you pick up certain traits, which all of this relates to that third book that I referenced that's going to be different, but give me 2 more weeks to announce it. They measure their value, not necessarily in effort, but in decision velocity. And that's how you build operational sovereignty. The physics of momentum. Momentum, as we're describing it and using it, is energy multiplied by alignment. When people, technology, and systems align, energy compounds. When they fragment, entropy wins. That is why the top 1%, admittingly, some of it is qualitative, give me a little bit of leeway there, why the top 1% family offices, they almost feel lighter, faster, quieter. They don't necessarily hustle more. They waste less. There's a difference. Think about that. Their leaders understand the fundamental truth. Complexity is a liability disguised as sophistication. Every additional layer of structure, of processes, of personnel, honestly slows the feedback loop between reality and a decision. So they strip away everything that doesn't amplify intelligence. And no, that's not minimalism, although that has some tremendous value. That really goes back to physics. Let's see, we did Singapore, Texas, Let's take you back where I actually started in some examples to Geneva, to Switzerland. We have structure, principal states in 5 countries, but I'm not sure we have control anywhere. That could stay with you. Because structure without intelligence is chaos, with maybe better stationary. That's an outdated word in today's world. And he was, looking back, kind of right to worry. The office probably had more entities than insights. So, and again, Occam's razor, sometimes simplifying everything, collapsed redundant entities, but built adaptive systems, made intelligence the anchor of every decision. Months later, calling, now I feel like the family office works for the family, not effectively the other way around. And have you ever thought about it? How often doesn't it feel that way? But that's a moment when governance becomes liberation, actually. Symmetry of design. True architecture is symmetrical. Every input has a mirrored output. Every action has a corresponding intelligence loop. When your systems are symmetrical, you create a compounding of feedback, I would say, a continuous learning organism. That's what an AI enables when properly designed, which isn't often enough. It turns every decision into a data point, every data point into learning, every learning into a future advantage. This is how families could scale judgment, doing more, better, and faster. Not just capital, because judgment, think about it, judgment is really what turns money, your money, into legacy. Now, I do want to go back to, because it still is the most important, the human factor. Think of it this way. Technology amplifies your potential, but people determine the trajectory. The right team culture still matters more than any software. 10 years, I don't know, but I think I could say that now. And that's coming from me. The best family offices are filled with independent thinkers who know how to collaborate without consensus. They debate ideas, don't debate egos. They measure success by outcomes, not optics. And often a weak company hides behind titles. A strong one, you hide behind your performance if you want to hide. One of the most powerful cultural tests I give a family: could your top 3 people make a decision that saves the family in a crisis without permission? If the answer is no, and it probably is, then you don't really have a team. You have employees. And employees, they don't build dynasties, but incredible people that you may already have and are shackling them. There's no statue to committees or committees. There's statues of Michael Jordan, of great people, of individuals. One person could change everything. And what happens if you have that person and you're just not utilizing them properly? The system of continuity. Continuity is not inheritance. It is an intelligence transfer, sure, when the founder dies, but does the wisdom die with them? Or does it carry forward? Top families are already training AI systems to replicate their and broadly decision logic, what the founder would approve, how they would evaluate risk, how they prioritize mission, assuming they did, over margin. I'm sorry. It's not imitation. It's continuity, which is the name of my private membership community, SFO continuity. Really, it's family office continuity. Again, like I said, MFOs, I can help you a lot too. You should be joining as well. Because dynasties don't need new ideas per se every generation. They need the ability to adapt timeless ones to perhaps new realities. I'm going to turn over some show notes, make sure I stay a little bit on track, which is debatable. Kind of a principal's perspective. If you're a principal and you're not a client per se of your family office, you're its architect, your role is to define direction, establish intent and purpose, and demand velocity. If your office can't execute your intent at the speed you think, then what's that word I used earlier? Do you really have control? Because the wealthiest families I know that are really good, that at least are broaching into that top 1%, their family offices are like a command center, not a courthouse. Their decisions move through systems. Now, we could challenge that one a little bit too, but definitely not through committees. Infrastructure, that architecture that responds in hours, not quarters. And that's kind of what sovereignty. I did a podcast today where I was interviewed by Jan Petke in Germany, and these are some of the things. I'm going actually deeper now. We went broadly into geopolitics and other subjects, but that word sovereignty as a family and family office was the anchor of my discussion. Many of you will see that on my LinkedIn, and I'm going to distribute it in the next couple of days. So the new governance. Governance should not be at least about slowing decisions. It's about ensuring that decisions happen with full intelligence. In the new architecture, kind of governance is kind of code. It could be programmable. It defines who decides what, when, and with what data. It's transparent in real time. It's audible. And yes, you can actually do this now with the family's own properly structured AI system, not by external intermediaries. What I just described, its own AI systems, makes it actually secure and scalable. Architect, and I've been using that word a lot today, the architect's creed. Every top 1% family office is guided by an unspoken creed. Never delegate evolution. Never confuse complexity with intelligence. Never chase technology, but build sovereignty. Maybe the rest is noise. Architecture is the art of disciplined control. When designed correctly, it becomes invisible. You don't feel it, you trust it. And this is what gives families, I guess you could say, peace, not ignorance, but infrastructure. I want to say something here. It's important. Again, it doesn't take many Spartans to win a war. I did something 2 weeks ago on a Saturday, got a lot of views. It spoke effectively about that your superstars are underrated and underpaid. The right people, and Jim Collins type work here, but also Drucker, the right people that are smart, have proper processes and structures, have enough freedoms, but also have ideas relative to goals and intent and purpose of the office. Really, really good people are more valuable than technology at the moment. Technology is playing some catch up here, but I'm talking about the top 1, 2, 3% of people. And if those people, and I know who many of them are now embracing technology and getting that boost, that resource, that turbocharged, imagine how incredible they're going to be. So that's what I mean. I feel you. Incredible people are the most valuable asset and resource. I don't know if that's going to be the way in 5 or 10 years. Let's worry about that at a little bit of a different time. But I do know that working with some of the resources, technology, and AIs I'm talking about, and I know I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it. It's, I don't know, what's a word that's better than top 1% or great? Just like truly phenomenal is basically what I'm getting to. Uh, okay, kind of a closing act. Power is not by accident, it really is engineered. It happens when clarity, courage, a word that I spoke about in my first interview with Jan Peke from this month, courage in the rising generation. But again, I don't want to get distracted. Angelo, stay on your show notes. It happens when clarity, courage, and architecture align, when you build from first principles, when you design around the power triad that I noted of people, technology, and systems, when you treat intelligence as infrastructure, you transcend management, you create momentum, and the momentum is the currency of the remainder of this century for sure. The question isn't whether you have resources, it's almost going to be, man, like, do you have rhythm? Because in this age, the rhythm of your intelligence determines the reach of your legacy, however you want to define that word legacy. Act 3, the ascension, kind of the age of private intelligence. Families who master the next century, not simply by being wealthy, by being intelligent and having the resources of intelligence, which is what energy basically is what AI needs. Like energy is going to equate to intelligence. Intelligence is going to solve a lot of problems. We entered into an age where intelligence, not information, not capital, there is a difference between intelligence and information, is really the final store value. Money inflates, assets can fluctuate, governments can and will shift, but intelligence, properly owned and directed, is that really what compounds forever? Is there a new hierarchy of power? I mean, think about it. Power used to flow from land, then from capital, then from networks. Today, it really does flow from intelligence control. Those who own it write the code of civilization. Those who rent it, I mean, they kind of have to follow the rules. Every major shock in the last decade, from market collapse to political upheaval, has punished, do you agree? Has punished those who were too slow to really see the patterns. In this new hierarchy, visibility is oxygen. And this is where AI is going to be the lung. Okay, flip the page. The rise of private intelligence. Public intelligence belongs to governments. Corporate intelligence belongs to platforms. Private intelligence belongs to those who build it. Right now, as you're hearing this, a handful. It's not many, so don't worry, you're not too late. Okay, maybe it's more than a handful, but you get the idea. It's a small percentage of family offices have begun constructing private AI ecosystems, models that are not bleeding to the cloud or information, trained on sometimes decades of deal memos, filings, correspondence, geopolitical data, proprietary intelligence of the family, the principal, etc. These systems don't just analyze markets, they really do anticipate movements. They don't just manage portfolios, they could govern systems. Their AI completely understands the family's risk profile, its purpose, its temperament. It remembers, it predicts, it adapts. And I'm going to have to start to change kind of the definition that I've held to. It's in my name, SFO continuity. What I just described is really the new definition of continuity. Oh, London. Worked with a fourth generation family, shipping, real estate, and inertia effectively. The heir mentioned the father's office was brilliant at protecting yesterday. But relatively recently, reading some of my content, reaching out, joining, being a member, like the heirs want to build something for tomorrow. So imagine with the family's approval, meaning what I call the elders. I mean, I'm an elder, so I'm going to be respectful to the elders. Building a parallel structure. Have you heard of that one before? I didn't really write or talk about this one yet. Kind of a shadow office running private AI. Every investment committee briefing, every tax scenario, every note from the family's council, ingested, analyzed, and vectorized, if I could use that word. Within months, that team can now run simulations that once required multiple firms. The AI actually surfaced hidden correlations between philanthropy, politics, and property markets they've never seen before. Now, I introduced them to an AI integration engineer that I know, someone else who's utterly brilliant when it comes to AI. So I was a part of it, but I'm not saying I was even probably not the most important part, but I did connect the dots. So they said, for the first time, I feel like I'm steering the future instead of inheriting it. Don't you want, you're only as happy as your unhappiest child. No matter how much money you have, don't you want them to feel useful, to come to their purpose? You should be happy that they're initiating this initiative. And that really comes down to the essence of private intelligence. Command through comprehension. Really from information now to insight. Information is static. Intelligence isn't, it's kinetic. Information tells you what happened. Intelligence, I told you there was big differences there. Intelligence tells you what will. Most family offices drown in data, but they starve for insight. They confuse knowing with understanding. Private intelligence turns noise into signal, linking kind of the financial data with behavioral data, geopolitical risk with more cultural context. It fuses intuition and computation into one rhythm, that word I used earlier. And that's how dynasties survive inevitable disruption, but not from hiding from it, by absorbing it. And Taleb, and of course, in his books, was very eloquent, way more than me, discussing this. By absorbing it faster than often how I would define it, others would react. Kind of the sovereign compute imperative. Let's be direct. If your intelligence runs on public infrastructure, you are not perfectly sovereign. You are a tenant in someone else's cloud, subject to jurisdiction, governmental, regulatory, someone else's ethics, spying on you, hacking. True sovereignty requires command over your compute. Own your hardware, own the encryption, your privacy layer. No, this is not about paranoia. It is about power continuity. Like another family in Europe that I know, like they moved their tech stack from a third-party servers to more private infrastructure. I'm not saying it was fun, and it cost some money and time, but building within their own jurisdiction of trust their private infrastructure. I mean, even the CFO, for the first time in 20 years, I felt like our decisions couldn't be weaponized, I guess you could say, against us. Like, that's not even really technology. That's freedom codified, is what that is. Well, I have only 2 more pages of some show notes, so I promise we're close to an end. I'm a little bit of a long form guy. I can't help it. The power of purpose. Technology without purpose does breed nihilism. You're correct. Every family must answer the most dangerous question in finance. I've stated this in two videos from earlier this week. What is our money for? If you can't answer that clearly, your systems will drift. Purpose will define your parameters. It determines actually what intelligence that you seek, what risk you accept, what legacies you defend. I asked a patriarch in New York, what do you want your great grandchildren to inherit? Assets or autonomy? Think about it. The right answer actually is autonomy. No, like, better begin dismantling like many of those quote unquote dependencies. How many trusts are no longer needed? Managers, bureaucracies that slow decisions, intermediaries who probably blurred responsibilities. Again, go back to Occam's razor. What remains maybe is best in that example as lean, fast, and very intentional. Purpose isn't poetry, though I enjoy poetry. It really is architecture. Is there an empire model? The families, maybe dominates not the right word I'm looking for, but the remainder of the century, they will absolutely think in systems, not silos. They build empires of intelligence, integrated structures, capital, data, governance, like reinforce each other. Holdcos, of course, structures matter. Own cash flow. Family offices own intelligence. But foundations express purpose. Have everything feed into that loop. When the empire is complete, nothing is really reactive. It becomes more signal driven. And that's also what it means to operate from a position of sovereignty. I see some comments, maybe some on private setting are coming in. Got a little hateful comments last night, but that's okay. I don't look to be in an echo chamber. It's okay to disagree with me. It's all good. No worries. I'm on a little bit of a roll, so I want to stay with it. Psychology of the top 1%. Here's what I've learned after multiple decades, in this community. The ultra wealthy who thrive in disruption, they do think differently. They are decisive under ambiguity. In other words, they remain cool and calm in uncertain times. Ambiguity. They measure reality and feedback, not feelings. Never take things personally. They see discomfort sometimes as data. When a shock hits, which will always happen, currency collapse, political shift, AI disruption, don't panic, pivot. Understand the only durable edge in an exponential world is, I'm going to say it again, decision velocity. The mindset, when embedded into systems, can create that momentum and be unstoppable. The culture of intelligence. Private intelligence isn't just code. It really is culture. It's a way of thinking where every member of the organization treats information as leverage, not as labor. In the strongest family offices, I've seen analysts debate data the way philosophers debate ideas. Executives speak in probabilities, not just opinions. Decisions should be documented, understood, learned from, improved, now especially by AI, by the system itself. And this is how you get compounding, how the culture in the family office, SFO, MFO, financial advisor, really just applies to like any business. Because intelligence is only valuable in the example that I'm giving it if it's collective. Is there a new definition of legacy. I've been thinking about this one. Legacy used to mean owning buildings, endowments. Now it kind of means systems. The question every principal must answer: when I'm gone, will my intelligence survive me? Not wealth, but intelligence. Dynasties that endure have built frameworks, mindsets, if you want to use that word, replicate judgment across the generations. Their AI became the bridge between founders and heirs. It will be. It remembers how the founder decided, but it evolves also as the next generation learns. And no, you don't have to look at that as replacement. It's transcendence. There is a global shift. We're living, supposedly, through the greatest wealth transfer in history. Now, longevity may play into that. Definitely the fastest technological shift humanity has ever known. AI isn't just another industrial revolution, it's a cognitive revolution. Like every other revolution, it will create new, the wealthy, those in power, sure. Families who command the machine, or the machines, you could say, of intelligence, of course, and families who serve them. This is your moment. What side of the equation do you really want to be on? I know I could promise you the 2030s will not reward moderation. It may reward effectively mastery. So maybe a little bit of I promise I'm almost done. I had about 7, 8 pages of notes. I stuck to some of it. I went a little off on the rails. I'm sorry. The call to command. If you've absorbed this far, you already know it's really not about trends. It's about power structures. The families who command, again, intelligence will command capital. Those who command capital will command influence. What a surprise. I wonder how that works. Those who command the influence will command, is this a scary word? Civilization. No, I don't think that's hyperbole. What it is, read Ariel and Will Durant and others, it's history repeating itself at the speed of code. The only variable left, I could really argue, is your decision. It is an invitation. Are you finally ready to stop observing and really start architecting, start to get to work? So yes, I do want to invite you inside my private intelligence strategy and membership community. It's called SFO Continuity. And I'm so fortunate to have many incredible families and people, and even a couple, 1 or 2 really good MFOs, want a couple of more good ones. Like, I build frameworks, first principles thinking, again, intelligence and strategies, and obviously a thought leader in AI and family offices for AI governance, private compute, and really the intelligence infrastructure moving forward. Oh my God, I'm running live simulations on macro shocks, regulatory shifts, generational transitions. We don't just talk about it, we want to be about it. Imagine at programs in Palm Beach, in New York, in LA, and around the world, besides your peers as principals, heirs, really true architects who are building the next generation of a family office. Every conversation, every system, every framework is that inside of my private community, SFO Continuity, designed to give you a decisive advantage if you use it, if you're serious about commanding the future rather than simply renting it. This is a place for you. It's a home. It's a place where you belong. Simply go to angelorobles.com and join. Wealth without intelligence, as I stated, is inertia. Intelligence without sovereignty is really servitude. Combine the two, oh, man, you build something rare. Maybe that's actually a dynasty that learns. This is the great transition of our age from passive capital to active cognition, from reactive management to really proactive mastery. So the question, the question is no longer how much do you have? Again, I'm going back to the intelligence quota. It's kind of how fast can you think? Because in this age, thinking is really compounding. And those who compound intelligence rather simply, faster than others, will effectively own this century. Well, everyone, I am Angelo Robles. I've been in this community a long, long time. I love it. I'm obsessed by it. I don't know if you could really, truly be the best, like Michael Jordan, like Tom Brady. You have to want it the way that you want to breathe. There's a lot of smart people, a lot of competition. I love it. And there are some incredible people in the community that keep me on my toes and challenge me. And it's really exciting. So sure, I would enjoy your membership. Go to angelorobles.com and learn more. It's officially called SFO Continuity. My tab is simply membership. Trust me, you can't miss it. Like, it's there. And yes, of course, I have my AI masterclass in New York next week, November 5th and 6th. It'll be incredible. My book's all coming out. And you got a glimpse of it tonight, Creating a Top 1% Family Office. And I go deep into the people, into the technologies, into the systems. I talk a lot about geopolitics, about investing, about hedging risk, about integration of family. All of that is important. My God, you don't do 400 PowerPoint slides plus probably closer to 500 when I'm done. So I look forward to that rollout initially to members who it's inclusive. That's inclusive. You get that. I have another one, Sovereign Risk and Disaster Preparedness. I did a consulting assignment from one of the wealthiest families on earth early during COVID. That got me going down that path. That's another 400 plus slides. Mid-year, maybe a little earlier, my members will get that as well. And the others will be a separate masterclass, maybe digital, definitely in person. That will be a fee. By being a member, you get things all inclusive. You get a different level of connectivity and access. Some of you are doing great. I get it. And some of you are part of organizations that I do have respect for, like Fox, Family Office Exchange, Camden Institute of Private Investors. They all do something good. Very possibly something, I'm sure, better than me. When it comes to an obsession for the family office, first principles thinking, and AI, and maybe I could throw in geopolitics and macroeconomics. Like, that's my dominant areas. I'm creative. I have incredible dream team and thought leaders around me and such incredible families around the world. I want you to be additive to it. We're going to learn from you as well. So this is an opportunity. The year's beginning to come to an end. My masterclass is next week in New York. It's a good opportunity to make the decision to be a part of it, to join, to be a part of something special. I'm going to be spending more and more time, of course, in Florida in the winter. My big event, possibly over 5 days this March, beginning March 23rd, will be in Palm Beach. It's going to be so much fun. We just have a lot going on. So many topics to cover, such important things to do. And there's just a never-ending supply, one of problems. There'll always be problems. But opportunities, a way to make an impact. yourself, your family office, your community, and beyond. We love to cover deeper intellectual topics around geopolitics, politics, macroeconomics, money, investing, society, what's going on in New York, what's going on around the world. Like, like I am not afraid to tackle subjects that others are wickedly politically correct and refuse to cover. Not because I'm so smart. I put in my work and I come prepared, and I want to jump out of that echo chamber as fast as I could. I want to learn other opinions and feedback. It's just an exciting time. And I think it's a great time for you to look more into what I do and to jump on board and be a part of it. To SFO continuity, the membership, the masterclasses, the unique proprietary content. So thank you all so much. Not really too much news. Some advertisers apparently in the comments. Some of you did text me. Thank you. I guess you want to keep off the grid of being in a DM. I understand. And members, and one of them was a member. Yes, last year I was pretty close. Then I got a little distracted. A lot of things going on. The Creating a Top 1% will be out before the end of the year. And you are going to be the first ones as members to really get it, immerse in it, and be a part of it. And no upcharge for being a part of either a digital or an in-person masterclass. You are covered, period. I look forward to it. And some of you, I still hope to see in New York, November 5th and 6th, at a one-of-a-kind AI masterclass. And other than for members, I may only do one-on-ones, those masterclasses next year with me and our faculty. We'll see. We'll see. So much going on. I got a lot. Enjoy tonight. I don't know, what is there, baseball or the NBA's on? Hopefully the Knicks won't go to a losing record. They're already 2-2 after starting off 2-0. I hope you're all doing awesome. I'm going to have a late dinner. If the weather holds up, I may smoke a cigar to wrap up the night. You're all great. I appreciate you. Please give me feedback and criticism. I want to learn. Thank you all so much. Look forward to the next time. Thank you.